and welcome to The Stack, your place for what's happening around the Puget Sound, brought to you by Bates Technical College. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy you're here. I'm Gretchen Sherma. On today's show, we're visiting the air show, exploring Kubota Garden, sharing community events for our area, plus sports, weather, this day in history, and our tech report. Up first, here are some headlines from around the region. Outdoor workers in Washington now have a set of rules aimed at protecting them from heat-related illnesses and health conditions. The new policy took effect on Monday and comes from the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries. Employees that work outside will now be given a 10-minute break every 2 hours once the temperature is 90 degrees or higher. When the temperature is 100 degrees or higher, workers will get a 15-minute break every hour. Tacoma was recently named one of the top 5 places to live, according to NBC's Today Show. Highlights of living in Tacoma include access to the outdoors, job security, and the cost of living being 20% less expensive than average. Tacoma came in 3rd on this list of booming cities. The King County Sheriff's Department recently came to the rescue of a delivery driver who found his path blocked by a stubborn llama. The Sheriff's Department dispatchers received a call from a delivery driver who reported he was unable to deliver a package to a customer due to a llama in the road. Deputy Picosa responded to the call and was able to put a leash on the llama. A short time later, the Sheriff's Office received a call from someone reporting a missing llama. The Sheriff's Office was then able to return the llama to its owner. Next, we have Jaciel Doty in studio with our sports report. Jay, how are things in the world of sports?
Everything's good. Thank you, Gretchen. Yes, indeed. I'm Jaciel Doty, and here's your sports news to get you ready for the weekend. Let's stack it up. The Seattle Mariners host a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Mariners are 3rd in the AL West, 10th in the division, with J-Rod leading in stolen bases with 22, and Teoscar Hernandez crushing the home run charts with 15 home runs. There's plenty of baseball left, and the chances for postseason play are still hopeful for the Seattle Mariners fans. Scary team to play when they make the playoffs, similar to last year. Let's take care of business, Seattle. It's almost that time. The Tacoma Rainiers are on the road against the Sacramento River Cats in a 6-game series, leading 2-0. They will be at home next week for another 6-game series against the Salt Lake Bees. Get your tickets ahead of schedule if you're not already a season ticket holder, and come out to support your AAA team, the Tacoma Rainiers, at Cheney Stadium. Tickets available online or at the stadium. Let us shift the focus on your upcoming boxing matches. Spence versus Crawford just around the corner on July 29th. We got Earl Spence, the bigger fighter, going against Bud Crawford, the smaller fighter. Earl Spence Jr., his record stands at 28 fights, 28 wins, 22 knockouts. He's 5'9", and they call him the Truth. He holds 3 belts in this division. Bud Crawford, 39 fights, 39 wins. He has 30 knockouts, standing at 5'8", so you know he's the smaller fighter. With that being said, this fight has been waiting on for about 3 years. We got 2 of the greatest welterweight fighters in the division, so let's get ready for a great fight coming to you in Las Vegas. Well, I know you want to ask me who I'm going for, but we'll find out when that match happens next week, July 29th. 2 great fighters, 1 big match. And right now we have on September 30th, Charlo and Canelo. Big men, super middleweight title. These 2 gentlemen are going to unify the belts. Not only that, they're going for the undisputed title. Who do you got? You got Canelo, or do you got Charlo? My vote is I want to see Charlo do big things, but you can never take for granted how Canelo Alvarez is going to handle business. A strong fighter, and he's definitely the GOAT. So, who do you got? Who's your money on? Do you got Canelo Alvarez, or do you got the man with the plan coming out of Houston, Texas, Jermell Charlo? We'll see on September 30th when they fight in Las Vegas. Well, that wraps it up for your sports talk for the week. Peace.
All right, thanks, Jaciel, for that sports report. Up next, let's take a look at your hour-by-hour forecast for today. Things are starting off relatively cool at 62 degrees. It should be 73 degrees by noon, and then we'll finish the day off with a high of 84 degrees. Your weekend forecast is coming up. Should be mostly cloudy with some afternoon sun on Saturday with a high of 82 degrees. Then we'll be cooling off a bit to 73 degrees on Monday, but bumping back up to a high of 81 degrees on Wednesday. Your community calendar is next. Welcome back to The Stack. Streaming, uploading, downloading, video games, apps, and social media. There's always something happening in the world of tech. Eric Randolph is back with his recommendations for this week's Super Media 64 Tech Report.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Super Media 64 Report. I am your host, Eric Randolph, and today I am at Nintendo of America in Redmond, Washington, because today's topic is going to be The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The Tears of the Kingdom is the latest Legend of Zelda release in the franchise, and today we are going to delve into my personal feelings on the game.
To start things off, what makes Tears of the Kingdom already one of the most unique Legend of Zelda games today is the fact that this game directly follows the events of the previous, which is exceedingly rare for a Legend of Zelda game. The previous game, Breath of the Wild, takes place only a few years before the events of Tears of the Kingdom take place, which is huge. This has never been done before. This is outlandish in the world of Legend of Zelda, where most games start off with their own versions of Hyrule, their own unique stories that have almost nothing to do with what happened in the previous games. Tears of the Kingdom also continues Breath of the Wild's history of exploring and pushing the boundaries on what open world environments are like.
The game is just filled with content. You cannot go 5 feet without finding something new, whether it's a Korok to help rescue and bring back to his friend, or if it's just another shrine for you to conquer and gain more power. There's so much in this game that it's impossible to find it all on your first playthrough unless you really want to.
This game is not just Breath of the Wild 2, which is what a lot of people were expecting when it came out. It's completely its own story. You don't even need to have played the game previous to understand this one. When the player is let loose on this world, they will recognize some of the very distinct features from Breath of the Wild. But the map, while similar, has completely changed, adding 2 new layers with Sky Islands and the Depths. There is very similar hints to the world. Some of the towns are very similar to what they were previously. Some of them have changed drastically based on what happened in the previous game, With all the side quests that are available in this game, it is hard not to get immersed. My personal favorite was the one with the newspaper. You fly around with a Rito friend and you can report on the news happening around the stables of Hyrule. This is my favorite of the side quests, and there are plenty of good ones. You just get to explore Hyrule in such a unique way comparatively to even Breath of the Wild, which also had fun and interesting side quests. Now, enough about the side quests and the new everything. Let's talk about what I always personally look for while I am playing a game. The music. I am a huge music fan. I have loved music my entire life, and I am a huge fan of good video game music. And luckily for me, Tears of the Kingdom delivered great music yet again. Now, the great music in a Legend of Zelda game, not uncommon. Breath of the Wild had great music. My personal favorite Legend of Zelda game before Tears of the Kingdom came out, Twilight Princess, also had stellar music. But Tears of the Kingdom doesn't just make its own stellar music. It took notes and hints from every Legend of Zelda game previous and mixed them into its own unique musical stylings. It's insane how well it does this.
Now, a lot of people have problems with how the Switch's graphics work, and don't get me wrong, I have had those same problems. But, yet again, Tears of the Kingdom is the same that they did with Breath of the Wild. They have shown that you can have a lower graphical quality, but it can be made up for with artistic style. That's about all the time we have. Thanks for joining me for another Super Media 64 report. I am Eric Randolph, and I'll see you next time.
The Joint Base Lewis McChord Air Show recently took to the skies over Tacoma. The STAC staff member, Anthony Cordero, has the story.
Cordero, and welcome to the 2023 JBLM Air Show and Warrior Expo, the most anticipated event of the year. Join me for more fun. The much anticipated 2023 JBLM Air Show and Warrior Expo took off this past weekend, leaving spectators in awe and amazement. This year's air show featured an array of incredible stunts and jaw-dropping performances showcasing the skill and precision of talented aviators from around the world. From heart-stopping stunts to gravity-defying maneuvers, this year's air show had it all. The sky was ablaze with thrill as the Canadian Yellow Thunder team took to the skies. Their perfectly synchronized aerobatics painted the sky with breathtaking patterns, showcasing the epitome of precision and skill. The Yellow Thunder aircraft is a vibrant T6 engine aircraft that is painted in, yes, you guessed it, yellow. The next reenactment, the Tora Tora Tora, transported us back into time to the fateful events of Pearl Harbor. With precision flying and explosive pyrotechnics, the air show paid tribute to the history and reminded us of the courage of those who served and lost their lives. Brace yourselves for the gravity-defying antics of the Ace Maker. This high-performance aircraft soared through the sky, pushing the limits of what's possible. With flips, loops, and twists, the Ace Maker pilot took us through an exhilarating ride that had our hearts pounding and our jaws dropping. And of course, we cannot forget the memorizing performance of the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, renowned for their awe-inspiring aerial displays showcasing incredible precision and teamwork. The elite pilots took to the skies, leaving trails of smoke and showcasing their remarkable skills in a display that left the audience stunned. The roaring propulsion engines jolted eardrums for those without ear protection. They painted the sky with streaks of smoke and left trails of excitement in their wake. At times, they created formations that captivated audiences, including one where the jets fly in the shape of a heart. It's a breathtaking sight that tugs at the heartstrings and reminds us that even in the midst of gravity-defying stunts, these pilots will go out of their way to show the audience their love and admiration for the sky. Thank you, JBLM. Joint Base Lewis McCord for putting on this incredible show. We appreciated every single second. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get out of this heat. Back to you, Gretchen.
Thanks, Anthony. If you missed this air show, there will be another one in Bremerton, August 19th and 20th. We'll be right back. More than 50 years have passed since man first walked on the moon. The STAC staff member, Miguel Andreve, has more with This Day in History.
At 15 seconds, guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right level. 90 seconds forward.
Welcome to This Day in History. I'm Miguel, and today we are going to take a giant leap back in time to July 20th, 1969, 54 years ago, when humanity achieved one of its greatest feats yet, the moon landing.
On July 16, 1969, NASA launched the Apollo 11 spaceflight, a daring journey to land the first manned crew on the moon. NASA had sent people to space before and even landed robotic probes on the moon, but this would be their biggest accomplishment yet. It took several days through space to reach their goal. On this day, the 20th, after a few scary alarms and computer errors, the craft safely landed on the lunar surface. There were 3 astronauts present on the mission: Commander Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Armstrong was the first to disembark and the first human in history to set foot on the moon, with Aldrin and Collins joining him later that day.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Millions of people around the world eagerly watched the broadcast, anxiously waiting to see what was the biggest achievement in human history. A time in which everyone felt united and hopeful that we could achieve what we thought was impossible just a few years ago.
Now, you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar surface. Beautiful, just beautiful.
The moon landing and everything leading up to it was the culmination of years of international conflict and still affects us to this day. Let's get into that.
On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union successfully launched Sputnik 1, the first ever artificial satellite into space. Now, this was at the start of the Cold War, a sort of soft conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. There wasn't any official fighting between the two. Most of the conflict surrounded economic, cultural, and technological advancement. In response, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed off on the creation of NASA, or the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and thus began the space race. For the next decade, the two countries engaged in fierce competition to see who could gain more space superiority. During this time, many great innovations were made. Rockets and satellites, of course, but also things we use in our everyday lives like GPS, weather tracking, medical imaging, and even memory foam mattresses. After numerous advances, successes, and unfortunate tragedies on both sides, it finally happened.
The success of the Apollo 11 mission marked an important milestone in human history, and we owe a lot to the brave people who risked their lives to get us to where we are today. Thank you for watching This Day in History. Now, let's get back to the stack. Stick around.
Thanks, Miguel. And now you know what happened this day in history. We finish our show today with a visit to Kubota Garden. Take a moment to take in the scenery. Kubota Garden has been a peaceful destination for more than 3 decades. The historic landmark was originally a commercial nursery started by Fujitaro Kubota in 1927. The 20-acre garden in Rainier Beach is now run by the City of Seattle and supported by a nonprofit. The garden combines native Northwest plants with traditional Japanese garden design and features 11 ponds, 3 waterfalls, 2 red bridges, and 140 varieties of maple. The city park is open to the public and absolutely free, so take a moment to appreciate Kubota Garden. Kubota Garden is open every day of the year from sun up to sundown. Well, that's our show for today. The Stack is a production of the Broadcasting and Video Production Department at Bates Technical College. Please visit batestech.edu/broadcasting for more information. I'm Gretchen Sherma. Be sure to join us next time on The Stack.